Welcome everybody, it's Disabwolf here with another episode of VSW. Thank you very much. It's a cult of personality. The first dance, inspired by The Last Dance, the famous documentary about Jordan, Pippen, and the 90s Bulls on ESPN. This is a special AEW Dynamite recap provided by VSW Podcast. Our savior, the best in the world, the voice of the voiceless, the straight-edge superstar, CM Punk. He finally returned to professional wrestling after a 7-year hiatus. I am so happy, as millions of people around the world have been waiting for this day for a long time. And Tony Khan is such a great man for what he's done for the industry. And he sold out a Bulls and Blackhawks NHL NBA famous arena, the United Center, in a whole day by not even announcing Punk, by hinting it. They had Kenny Omega wearing Chick Magnet and Cookie Monster shirts, and we'll get into this a little later, a certain wrestler referencing that AEW has the best talent in the world. And CM Punk, the show started with JR filling in for Jericho, Taz, Mark Henry, and Excalibur, announcing who's going to be at Dynamite Rampage tonight. What is the match order gonna be? And the lights went off a little bit, and they let the fans echo CM Punk, and the famous Cult of Personality song, like Mussolini, like Kennedy, the Cult of Personality, the Cult of Personality, CM Punk. I am just so excited he's finally back, as the whole wrestling community is. It is something we've been waiting for a long time, and the fans in the United Center went nuts. I'm surprised the place didn't fall down, to be honest with you folks. And Punk finally came, saying he's good to come to be back. It was a very emotional. There's this one fan, emotional Punk guy, we'll call him. He represents all of us. We were all happy, shedding a tear watching it. He should not be bashed ever. He's like the Just Say Yes shocked Undertaker guy. You had the Brock Lesnar dude marking out like all of us in front row for every WWE or AEW live big event. That man has huge dedication, and I'd like to shout him out. The VSW will be at All Out. And Punk said that he came back not just for himself, but he wanted to come back to professional wrestling because of all the great young talent in the locker room. He wants to help them be good. He also said he felt like he let the fans down because of his personal decisions. He apologized, and he didn't give away too much either. He said the right amount. This was perfect for him. And it will lead you tuning in to Dynamite next week and the future. He has all day, he said. And Punk said that he didn't want to come back to the place that got him sick in the first place. And the whole people chanted, "Fuck you, Vince." I swear I heard that. It's hilarious. Shade at the former mainstream company that were very reactionary at one of the biggest shows of the year the night after because of this man. It is hilarious, but on the rafters, you saw Sting with Darby Allin over here, and Punk loves Darby Allin, and he admired him for his daredevil stunt. But there is no braver challenge than getting back up than facing CM Punk in Chicago. It is confirmed for All Out, folks. It's both the Battle of Straight Edge Men. This is a dream match. I saw Darby Allin, Coffin Drop Man, versus CM Punk. I cannot wait for that match. I know Versace can't either. And let's go over the match card, shall we, now that we got Punk out of the way? So there's a tag team mini tournament to see who gets to face the Young Bucks in the steel cage at All Out. and it is between the Hardy Office Party, Private Party, Isaiah Quinn and Mark Cassidy versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, the Jurassic Express. This was a great back and forth paced match. The crowd was all over for Jurassic Express. Maybe not as much as CM Punk in Chicago, but people been wanting them to retain the gold since AEW started. And they got screwed at Dynamite the other night for facing the Young Bucks for the tag titles. With Kenny Omega running in, and you had the Gallows and Anderson coming in, costing Jurassic Express the match in what was a great match, which led to a tag team eliminator tournament by Tony Khan. This was a really good match. There was nice moves, as Private Party did upset the Young Bucks in Boston. We were there for that. So they have been staying strong since they've been bookies for Matt Hardy doing his dirty work. A non-broken Matt Hardy, I may add. As this match was really good, really great opener to follow CM Punk coming out. This match had everything you want. It was fast-paced. Both those guys had to give it their all to get past the first plus match, and you had high-flying offenses. These guys have great chemistry. And then Luchasaurus took house on the whole Private Party. And what I loved about this match is you had a Canadian Destroyer from the top turnbuckle that turned into a powerbomb combo by Luchasaurus and Jurassic Express. And you had Matt Hardy beat up Marco Stunt outside to get the distraction. But then they finished off Quinn with some unique power bomb and Hurricanrana combo to get Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express the win to advance to the finals. They will be facing next week's Rampage the winner of either Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Providence Prince, Brian Pillman Jr., or the Lucha Bros, Ray Phoenix and Pento El Mero. I am looking forward to this. I think Jurassic Express is going to face the Young Bucks. They have unfinished business. This was a great opener match, very fast-paced to keep off the momentum of CM Punk coming back, and the crowd at the United Center loved it. And both guys have improved since AEW debuted. Both have high, great chemistry, offensive tandems. And there was no botched with any of these performers. This tag team division in AEW is huge, and there's so many great tag teams. Can't keep up. I love this tournament. I cannot wait. I know Versace loves tag teams for Varsity Bloods and Lucha Bros match at Dynamite. And we will get in a little bit with the rankings. But next thing first is a women's showcase match on Dynamite between Kiera Hogan and represented by Smart Mark Sterling Lawyers Service, Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill has been on a roll since she debuted as Shaq's partner against Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet on TNT. It's been on fire, especially with Smart Mark Sterling Services. She just likes to beat people up in the women's division and racks up women. She looks very confident, great physique. She is amazing. And Kiera Hogan may have gotten the job or entrance, but this was a very quick match meant to make Jade Cargill look strong in what is predicted to be a huge rating for Friday Night Dynamite. They need to carry that momentum in the women's division. They had a great match last week to main event Rampage with Dr. DMD and Britsburg, and Red Velvet put on a good show. And the women's division has gotten so much better since the pandemic started. It's been a weakness for AEW, but you also got Chris Statlander waiting in the wings, being undefeated since she came back from injury. You got Britt Baker as a dominant champion. You got a returning Jamie Hunter from New Japan representing the way. You also have the women's title shots getting very crowded, but Hogan got very overpowered. She tried to get one finishing move in, but it was a squash by Jade Cargill. And it was meant to be storytelling. It wasn't meant to be a 5-star match, folks. Like I said earlier, it was made to make Jade Cargill look like the next big thing in women's wrestling. And it is very true, since a lot of overshadowment with CM Punk and the tag team match. And you can only get like 3 matches, not even on a 1-hour show. But now it's a main event of the evening. And this is a man who is very, very familiar with the VSW podcast, accompanied by Matt and Jeff of 2.0, Red Death, Daniel Garcia, Limitless World Champion. After his amazing, he's been getting on the scene in Dynamite in a losing effort to Darby Allin last week against the Wild Thing, the fringe lunatic Jon Moxley, who is an AEW first biggest signee. Made everything big, the anticipation big on the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And it is the main event for the first dance in the United Center. And they didn't have a lot of time, so it was very fast-paced to begin with. But this Dynamite wasn't meant to be a 5-star match Dynamite. It was meant to carry stories, and Tony Khan just did that. He delivered. And what was a great back and forth with Garcia's grab submission strikes, but you had Moxley using his brawler type sharpshooter to soften Jon Moxley. And Garcia has a lot of good leg submission moves, including his Red Death finisher, which he didn't get used. But there were a lot of German suplexes to put Garcia away. But Garcia did use the ankle lock. He knows, like I said, every leg move in the book. We've seen him plenty of times in Maine. The VSW seen him in the IWT TV 100 with a draw in a H2O center bloodbath in a sauna. This man has the greatest endurance. He is the future. Tony Khan is bright to see something in he uses a lot of forearms, but it was too late when he got in a pentagram shift by Jon Moxley. And after he lost the sharpshooter, Jon Moxley used the chokehold submission move that made Garcia tap out for the win, but it was part of a plan because 2.0 and Garcia attacked not only Jon Moxley, but his best friend Eddie Kingston, who was on ringside for this match. The crowd was going nuts, and then Sting and Darby Allin made the same save, and it closed out Dynamite with the baby faces going on top. And what was the most not only anticipated event in wrestling history, it was the biggest night in AEW's life in a huge NBA, NHL, United Center, the place where Tony Khan called home. It would be like the TD Garden for the VSW. Because Tony Khan, it may be in Jacksonville, but he's a Chicago native. And he delivered big time on this show. This show was awesome. Fast-paced. I love the idea of Rampage. There's never a bad moment. And you can easily catch it and go back and rewatch it if you're busy on a Friday night. I love this idea. And you had CM Punk give everyone in the stands with his own money his own customized ice cream bar at the United Center. I hope they leave some for us at the VSW when we get there. Please release more VIPs, Tony Khan. And I loved it. It was an A+ show. Yeah, the matches may not be 7-star Tokyo Dome Dave Meltzer praises, but it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to give the fans happiness and joy that we've been craving for such a long time, for 20 fucking years. And I am so happy to see CM Punk come back, as many of the community. It provided a bunch of positivity for the AEW community. And I am so excited for All Out. You've got the Young Bucks in a steel cage match. You've got CM Punk versus Darby Allin. You got Kenny Omega versus Christian. Maybe you add Heyman on there. And you got the formerly man known as the BS Man, Paul White, taking on most likely QT Marshall. You'll have him. He may have Malachi Black face Cody if Cody comes back. So you got and you've got the Women's Battle Royal to showcase all the amazing female talent around the world. Tony Khan always knows what he's doing. He dedicates himself to these fans. And everyone should watch Rampage once a week, as I am excited to see what the future brings in pro wrestling, a spark in our confidence and our immune systems. Thank you, Tony Khan. Thank you, CM Punk, for coming back. And thank you for everyone tuning in on the VSW, giving us our support throughout the past months, whether it's in Limitless Maine, Beyond, NCW, which we were just at. Proving Ground just had a show. We got plenty of hard recaps coming along the way, and you don't want to miss this, folks. Disabwolf out. As we thank you for watching this feature VSW podcast presentation. Subscribe to the VSW podcast on YouTube. And thank you all, and have a good night all. And celebrate the greatest moment in professional wrestling in the past 7 years. Thank you so much, folks, as it's time to sign off.